and that's why their reactions will also be, uh, I mean, we won't be able to count how many reactions are there. So it is very difficult to learn all those reactions. So that's why the basics in organic chemistry are very few, and that's what we are going to study, and not all the reactions. Okay, so the basics of organic reactions which we are going to study, and these basics are, first category of these basics are actually called electronic effects. Okay, and the second category is our reaction intermediates. Okay, so what are there in electronic effects? There is inductive effect, there is resonance, resonance is also called mesomeric effect. Then next is hyperconjugation, and the last one is electromeric effect. Okay, when we come to reaction intermediates, we have to study carbocations, carbanions, free radicals, carbene, nitrene, benzene, right? So these are the reaction intermediates. And the third category which we have to study and which we have already started last class is acid and base, right? So these are the things which we have to study. These are the basics of organic reactions. Any organic reaction will have maximum these, or they are actually based on these basic uh, fundamentals which we have listed here. So that's why we must know these basic or the fundamentals of organic reactions to in order to understand reactions and in order to avoid mugging up those reactions. Okay, so moving to what any general organic reaction will look like, right? So any general organic reaction, it will have these parts. It will have a substrate plus that substrate will react with some agents called reagents, and that will happen in the medium that is called solvent, and finally it will give you product and byproduct. So we are mainly interested in these four things, that is substrate, reagents, solvent, and product. Okay, we'll see one by one what are they. So substrate is the organic molecule on which reaction has to occur, or we can say this is our target organic molecule or compound, right? What are reagents? So reagents may or may not be organic species, but this is something which attacks over the substrate. So this is organic. Reagent, you can say the entity which will attack the substrate. Entity means a compound which attacks the substrate, right? And this can be organic as well as inorganic. So it's not like it has to be organic only. Next is solvent. So solvent is actually the medium in which the reaction takes place. It can be acidic, basic, or neutral medium. Polar solvent, non-polar solvents. So like that, medium. Next is product. It is the obviously the final. This is product. Product is actually the final outcome of this reaction. That is the main product of this reaction. Suppose we have a compound like this, CH3, Cl, and here one more CH3 plus KOH, which is a reagent. This reacts in a medium, say acetone, and the Cl will be replaced by OH and KCl will be formed, and this compound, the main compound which is formed is this. Instead of Cl and OH there, and here CH3 as it was earlier. So there is a compound form along this, that is KCl, but this is byproduct. This is not of our use, right? For us, what is important is this product. This is our solvent or medium. This is our reagent, and this is the target or the substrate. So that's the four participants in any organic reaction and organic chemical reaction, right? And in some reactions, the medium itself may act as a attacking species, right? So that's an important point to note, that medium may also act as attacking reagent. So there are examples for that as well. Okay, so that is the, for example, in some reactions, water will act as medium as well as the attacking reagent, right? So now we are going to study this one by one. So the substrate can be of multiple types, right? So first study this substrate. So these will be of different types. We'll analyze them one by one. Type 1 is when carbon is bonded with more electronegative atoms. That is carbon bonded with more. When I write En, that means it is electronegative. So carbon bonded with more electronegative atoms. Okay. So for example, what are more electronegative than carbon? X stands for halogens, O oxygen and nitrogen. So these are more electronegative elements as compared to carbon, right? So it will be like this, CX, right? Or say for example RCl. So Cl is more electronegative. So what it does is it pulls the electron cloud towards itself, right? And that's why what happens to this R, or here there is a carbon. So what happens to this carbon? This carbon is actually electron deficient carbon. So this is an electron deficient carbon. So there is a lack of electron, or you can say this area is a site where electrons are not densely available or not readily available. There is lack of electron at this particular site. Okay. This carbon has electron deficiency. So that is the first type. Okay. Next, another type is obviously when this carbon is bonded with less electronegative element. Carbon bonded with less electronegative atom. So what are less electronegative than carbon? So that can be mostly, it will be metals, and metals like sodium, magnesium, right? Lithium. So not sodium, magnesium, lithium, etc., which we'll see in our reactions over the time. Okay, so now what will happen? Now this is carbon, I mean alkyl group, which has a carbon, and that is attached with these, say for example, lithium. So now carbon is more electronegative because lithium is less electronegative. So relatively this carbon is more electronegative. Now due to this, what will happen? This carbon is now actually a electron rich carbon. So we have electron deficient carbon, we have electron rich carbon. So these are the two different types, that is type 1 and type 2. Is there any other possibility? Then the other possibility, or the third possibility, is that this carbon is bonded with similar, or bonded with same or nearly same electronegative atom. Bonded with same or nearly same. Nearly same electronegative atom. What are the examples? Hydrogen and carbon. So even that is possible, right? So that actually results in formation of, so it will be like this. Suppose it is like this, or R, R, something like this. So because there is no, now the electron cloud is not being pulled towards anyone, because both are having same electron negativity. So if the bond breaks, right? So this will have one electron and this will have one electron. This will have one electron and this will have one electron. When this bond breaks, if this bond breaks. Now these species which are formed here, they have obviously odd number of electrons. So we can say that this is a carbon, this is a carbon which is odd electron carbon. So now we have total 3 types of substrates, right? One is electron substrate with electron deficient carbon, substrate with electron rich carbon, and substrate with electron, I mean with odd number of electrons. Where there is no electron rich or electron deficient carbon, they have odd number of electrons. So these are the three different types of substrates. Okay, moving to the next. What was there after substrate? It was reagent. Okay, so move to next topic, that is reagents now. So what do we have in reagents? One point we already seen, that sometimes even medium can act as a reagent. Okay, so now in reagent again, you have the type 1 substrate which we have seen, right? That is substrate which has electron deficient carbon, right? And so three types of substrates are there. One is having electron deficient carbon, another is having electron rich carbon, and third one is having odd number of electron. And we know when this situation will occur. So when a more electronegative atom is attached with carbon, so carbon will become electron deficient. When carbon is more electronegative compared to the atom which is attached to it, then carbon will be electron rich. And when both have same electron negativity, then obviously the bond, when it's break, it will be homolytic cleavage, and the it will be an odd number of electron carbons, odd electron carbon. Coming to reagents, so in type 1 substrate carbon, in type 1 substrate, the carbon is electron deficient, so electron rich species attack over it. Simple. This carbon is electron deficient, so who will attack it? This carbon is electron deficient, so who will attack it? Whoever has more number of electrons. So the attacker will be electron rich. Simple. Here, this carbon is electron deficient, so who will attack this? The attacker will be
electron rich.
Electron rich, right? So these are the two things. And in type 3 substance, we have odd number of electrons. So obviously it will be attacked by odd electron attacking species, right? So who will attack this? It will be attacked by odd electron species which have odd number of electrons. And what were reagents? Reagents were those molecules which are attacking. So attacking species were called reagents. So now based on our we can say that based on substrate, we have now three types of reagents as well, right? And what are those three types? So type 1 is what? It is electron rich species. So electron rich species are the first type. So what do we see here? Electron rich species are either negatively charged, rich means it has more electrons, so either it will be negatively charged, right? Or neutral with at least one lone pair of electron. So how to identify these electron rich species? They'll be either negatively charged or they'll be neutral with at least one lone pair of electron, basically extra electrons, right? Now generally three terms are used for such species in chemistry. There are three terms for them, that is base, either they will be called base, or they will be called, or you will find something called nucleophile, or later we'll also study something like ligand. Okay, so electrons rich species are called base, right? When it attacks over, it will be called base when it attacks over a proton, nucleophile when it attacks over non-metals, mainly carbon, and ligand when it attacks over a metal. Right, so what are these three? Base, nucleophile, and ligands. So base is, so all these three are electron rich. That is, they have, we'll come to that Lewis acid. Okay, so these are three different types. We are talking about only electron rich species right now. That is, which will fall into this type 1 category, electron rich species, and that is divided into three subcategories, that is base, nucleophile, and ligands. Right, and when we talk about base, so all these three are electron rich species, all the three. Now the question is, which one is, or what is the main difference between these three? So this is only the naming which is different based on the type of, you can say, the substrates which they attack on. So when it is called base, when these electron rich species, right, when they attack over a proton, right? So when it attacks a proton, then we'll say that this is a base. Okay, nucleophile, when it will be called a nucleophile, when attacks over a non-metal. So when it attacks a non-metal, then we'll say that that is a nucleophile. And if in case it attacks a metal, we'll say that this is a ligand. So these are the three, you can say, substrate or their target on which they are going to attack. And based on this, we have three different terms or terminologies for this. Right? Now, example of this is, we have OH negative only. Correct? So suppose here I write that example. When this OH negative attacks, say, HCl, right? And it will give us, so when this OH negative attacks HCl, and it gives us H2O plus Cl negative. So what is happening in this HCl? There is H plus and Cl negative. So this attack is on H plus, right? And H plus is proton. So that means at that time this OH negative is base, right? Okay, next we'll see example when it attracts a non-metal. So suppose this OH negative, now this attacks CH3Cl. So there is no H plus here, but due to this bond between C and Cl, Cl is electron negative. So on C there will be a positive charge. So this charge is on C, right? And it is a non-metal. And now the OH negative, that is this species, will now attack this positive charge, and it will give us something. And what it gives CH3OH plus Cl negative. That is not important for us right now. Now in this case, this OH negative is acting as a nucleophile. We say that this is a nucleophile. So that is the difference between base and nucleophile. Let's move to next. Suppose this OH negative is now attacking Fe3 plus. If this is the case, right, then And suppose we are getting FeOH whole thrice. Now in this case, this OH negative. So we see that in all the three examples, the species is same, that is OH negative. But now the same OH negative will be called a ligand. So that is three different types of base, or you can say electron-rich species, acting in three different ways and having three different names. Right? Now, in organic chemistry, we mainly use the concept of base and nucleophile. We won't be using this, right? Our concern or our interest is in these two. When we talk about organic chemistry, we'll be mainly dealing with this. That is base and nucleophile. So that is about these three types of electron-rich species. Now let's move to electron-deficient species and see what are they. So that is type 2, which is electron-deficient species. So these are the attacking reagents. So these are the attacking species or the reagents. So what happens here? So we have electron deficient species, obviously something which will have a positive charge. So positive charge means it has lost its electron, so it can go and attack somewhere where there is a lot of electron or availability of electrons. So electron deficient species are positively charged. First point, right? And this positively charged can be fully or partially, doesn't matter. It has basically loss of, or it has you can say less electron cloud, right? And they are also something with incomplete octet, right? Incomplete octet or vacant orbitals. So vacant orbitals means they have vacancy for electrons, right? And here in organic chemistry, this type of species are called electrophiles, right? And they will be represented as E plus. Same way this nucleophile, they will be represented as Nu negative. Nucleophile means they are nucleus loving, electrophile means they are electron loving, right? And examples for such electrophiles are, or the reagents are CH3 plus, you will see a positive charge there, or you may have H plus, that is a proton, or AlCl3. So these are now examples which have neutral, no charge, but may have vacant orbitals, right? BF3, SbCl5, that is tin chloride, not tin, SbCl5, and then iron. Now, knowing these reagents is very important, because if we know what type of reagent is being used to attack a substrate, we'll later study the mechanism of these reactions, and then we'll be able to predict the outcome of a we'll get the outcome of this reaction very easily. So that's why these knowing these species is very important. So we have studied nucleophile base, that is electron rich species, and electron deficient species or reagents, right? The third type of reagent, that is based on the substrate. The third type of reagent, type 3, is odd electron reagents or odd electron species. So that means those species whose number of electrons are odd. Normally, a complete, if it is a molecule, most of the electrons will be bonded electrons or lone pairs, right? So what happens in odd electron species? They will attack obviously the type 3 substrate, and these are called free radicals. These are called free radicals. Okay, they are generally produced in presence of light. So when will it get produced? It will be produced in presence of light. So whenever you see this, right, that some bond is being broken or some reaction happens in presence of light, that means there are chances of getting free radicals, or even in presence of peroxide. That is, the solvent is peroxide, right? And we have examples for this. So for example, hydrogen free radical, right? CH3 free radical, or chlorine free radical. So these are the examples of free radicals which we'll generally see here, right? And they happens in presence of light, heat, or peroxide. So that is about type 3 of the attacking reagents. Okay, so